don't know where that began, actually, Andy, that narrative, that false narrative, that there was animosity between the two of them. I mean, clearly, a rookie quarterback drafted in the 5th round had some growing to do.
Yeah.
I just feel like there were instances during camp and early in the season where both of them could have cleared this up, and neither one of them seemed willing to do it for whatever reason, right? Now, again, this was Kevin also at times having to answer questions about who at one point was his 4th string quarterback, right? And I mean, how unfair was that for him to have to deal with all of that nonsense, if you will? But I think the narrative was wrong and misleading from day one. Obviously, the Shedeur supporters out there, and I get why people like the kid. He's a very likable kid. He's very personable.
He lights up the room when he's in there.
He's got talent. You know, we'll see where it goes.
He's looking for Christmas presents. Come on, man.
Is he a franchise?
When he said that, I almost fell off my chair laughing. I was like, what?
He's a very likable kid. And so I get why people are behind him. And there was also, you know, this was Kevin's last year, and I think a lot of us felt that it was, even in its infancy, right?
It was second only to Eric Wedge.
God, we could see the writing on the wall, couldn't we?
During a Pardon My Take podcast that dropped Friday, he stated, I was told of the decision the Thursday before the last game, which I was very appreciative of, that I could prepare my family for that. And that type of thing. Kevin Stefanski said, and listen, these are not lifetime appointments. These are jobs. You know that you're not signing for your lifetime. You understand that it's the results of business. So I respect that they made their decision.
What if the rookie outlasted the coach? What if the man they said was too hyped, too overpaid, too much of a celebrity kid? What if he was the last one standing? And what if the coach, the 2-time coach of the year, the man who was supposed to be building something great in Cleveland, what if he was the one who got sent home? Because that is exactly what happened. Shedeur Sanders survived. Kevin Stefanski did not. And today, we are going to tell you the truth that nobody in mainstream media has the guts to say out loud. Stay right here. Welcome back, everybody. If you are new to this channel, first of all, welcome. Second of all, hit that subscribe button right now, because we do not sugarcoat anything here. We give you the real story, the emotional truth, the things that actually matter. Today's story is about 2 men, one who walked out of Cleveland with his head held high, and one who walked out with his reputation permanently damaged. This is the untold truth behind the Cleveland Browns' shocking coaching shakeup.
You can't say anything bad about Shedeur, because what's the point of that? That's just gasoline on a fire. That makes no sense. So I'm going to leave that part of it open to the understanding that everybody knows and recognizes he can't say and would not say anything bad about Shedeur. And if he just he says something nice here, then everyone just moves on, and that ultimately is the best thing for Kevin Stefanski. I do think, though, that there was something that happened in the later part of the year once they realized it was like a band of brothers type moment together, where Stefanski realized he was going to be fired, but saw that Shedeur was still wanting to put in a bunch of work and wasn't just going to ship it in. I think respect grew there. There was something attached to the end of the season where I really do feel like Stefanski started to become a little bit of a believer. But at that point, it was already too late. He couldn't show him any more love, let's say. It just was what it was.
I guarantee you, if Kevin was still the head coach of the Cleveland Browns and he was on Pardon My Take, these would not have been his comments today.
Oh, I guarantee that too. That I'm not saying if he had a chance to be the head coach today of the Browns, and all of a sudden Shedeur's in the driver's seat and Shedeur's got this and Shedeur's got. I'm not saying that.
His coach Stefan Stefanski reveals to Pardon My Take podcast he knew the Thursday before the season finale that the Browns was going to fire him. Now, I'm not paying to read this whole thing, but we definitely finna read this little paragraph or two. Say Kevin Stefanski revealed that Thursday Browns informed him 3 days before the season finale in Cincinnati that he'll be fired the day after the season.
Picture this. It is a Thursday. Regular NFL week. The Cleveland Browns are preparing for their final game of the season against the Cincinnati Bengals. And Kevin Stefanski, head coach, 2-time coach of the year, 6 years invested in building this franchise, gets a phone call. Or maybe it was a meeting. Maybe Jimmy Haslam looked him dead in the eyes across a desk. Either way, the message was the same. Kevin, After Sunday, you're done. 4 days before his last game, 4 days before the final whistle, 4 days before the season officially ended, this man already knew his career in Cleveland was over. And do you know what makes this moment so emotionally devastating? He had to go back to work. He had to walk back into that building, look his players in the eyes, call plays on that sideline, coach that final game in Cincinnati, knowing that none of it mattered anymore for him. His bags were already mentally packed. His family had already been told. His future was already decided. And he still showed up. He still coached. Kevin Stefanski revealed all of this on the Pardon My Take podcast. He said, "I was told of the decision the Thursday before the last game, and I was very appreciative of that I could prepare my family." Prepare his family. Bro, when a grown man, a professional, a champion, has to go home and sit his family down and say, "Hey, I just found out I'm losing my job in 4 days," that is not just football anymore. That is real life. That is human pain. And that moment, that Thursday conversation, is where the real story of Kevin Stefanski's Cleveland era truly ended. But here is where this story gets complicated, layered, emotional in a completely different way. Because while Kevin Stefanski was preparing his family for the worst, Shedeur Sanders was still standing. Shedeur Sanders, the 5th-round pick, the kid everybody doubted, the son of Coach Prime, who people said only got drafted because of his last name, the young quarterback who spent most of the 2024 season watching from the sideline while Stefanski kept running back to older, safer, more familiar options. Joe Flacco got starts, Dylan Gabriel got starts, and Shedeur waited. Week after week after week, he waited, he prepared, he stayed ready, because that is what his father raised him to do. That is what Deion Sanders drilled into him from the time he could hold a football.
Do we not remember that 2-point conversion play that you completely disasterized and took Shedeur out of the game? Like, come on now. Like, everybody knew it. But he trying to save face to say, you know what, I knew I was going to get fired the Thursday before. So, shout out to Mary Kay, man. She put this article out. She says, head coach Stefan Stefanski reveals to Pardon My Take podcast he knew the Thursday before the season finale that the Browns was going to fire him.
Stay ready so you never have to get ready. And then, finally, Stefanski gave him his shot late in the season. And do you know what happened? Shedeur Sanders showed out. He showed everyone watching that he belonged in this league, that he was not just a name, not just a legacy pick, not just a headline. He was a quarterback. And then, right when the momentum was building, Stefanski pulled him out during a 2-point conversion attempt at one of the most critical moments of the season. The stadium went silent. Browns fans lost their minds. Analysts across the country could not believe what they were seeing. You have a young quarterback finally finding his rhythm, finally showing the world what he can do, and you take him out in that moment? That one decision told the entire story of Kevin Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders' relationship in Cleveland. Because you can go on every podcast in America and say, I loved coaching Shedeur. He has the right makeup. He is wired correctly. But the tape is permanent, and the tape showed something completely different. Now, I want you to feel the weight of this next part, because this is the part that hurts the most if you are Kevin Stefanski. The NFL Players Association every single year releases report cards. These are grades given by the players themselves, not the media, not the analysts, not the fans. The men in the locker room, the men who trusted their coach with their bodies, their careers, their futures. Those men graded every single head coach in the NFL, all 32 of them. Sean McVay, A. Dan Campbell, A. Dan Quinn, strong grades. Coach after coach received marks that reflected respect, trust, and belief. And Kevin Stefanski, C-. dead last. Out of 32 coaches in the entire National Football League, the man who won Coach of the Year twice finished at the absolute bottom. Let that sink in for a moment. This is not about wins and losses. A bad record is one thing. Football is unpredictable. Injuries happen. Rosters break down. But when your own players, the men who bleed for you every Sunday, when they look at you and say you are the worst coach in the league, that is a broken relationship. That is a locker room that lost faith completely. That is the moment you realize the damage went far deeper than anyone on the outside could see. And somewhere in that C- grade, somewhere in those player votes, you have to wonder how much of it was connected to Shedeur Sanders. Because players notice how their teammates are treated. They see who gets opportunities and who does not. They feel the energy when a young player is being held back. They sense when something is not right.
Today. So this just happened about 2 hours ago. I want y'all to look at this.
He's now on the phone with Stefanski. Somebody just loudly booed him on the screen. I don't know what the connection is there. I don't know. Could be a Cleveland fan here. I have no idea.
So yeah, Kevin Stefanski was getting boos at the NFL Combine, bruh. And I don't know, man. I don't know what the whole deal is, but the Kevin Stefanski era.
And the players in that Cleveland locker room, they felt it. And then, just when you think this story cannot get any more dramatic, Kevin Stefanski walks into the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. His face appears on the screen, and the crowd, boo! Loud, painful, uncomfortable. Someone in that building said, someone just loudly booed him on screen. Could be a Cleveland fan. Could be a Cleveland fan. Bro, of course it was a Cleveland fan. Because Cleveland fans gave this man 6 years. They cheered for him through the good times. They defended him during the losing stretches. They believed in the process. They trusted the vision. And then they watched him mishandle the most exciting young quarterback to come through that city in years. That boo was not just about football. That boo was grief. That boo was frustration. That boo was 6 years of emotion and investment and hope crashing into one single brutal public moment. Kevin Stefanski heard that boo, and somewhere deep inside, I think he understood it. So here we are. Kevin Stefanski is in Atlanta now. New city, new players, new chance. The Falcons gave him an opportunity to rebuild his legacy, to prove that Cleveland was a chapter, not the whole story. And Shedeur Sanders, he is still in Cleveland, still under contract, still holding that football, now working under new head coach Todd Monken, a man who actually believes in him from day one. Shedeur survived the storm, and that survival means something profound, not just for his career, but for every young person who has ever been overlooked, who has ever been told to wait their turn, who has ever been pulled out at the worst possible moment by someone who was supposed to believe in them. Because surviving does not always mean you were the most talented. It does not always mean you were the most prepared. Sometimes surviving simply means you refused to quit when everything around you was falling apart. Shedeur Sanders refused to quit. And Kevin Stefanski, through all his professionalism, all his class, all his graceful exit interviews, carries a blemish on his coaching legacy that will follow him to Atlanta and possibly beyond. Because in the city of Cleveland, in the year 2024, the coach did not save the quarterback. The quarterback outlasted the coach. I need you to drop in the comments right now and tell me the truth. Do you think Kevin Stefanski sabotaged Shedeur Sanders intentionally, or was it just bad football decisions made by a coach who was already drowning? Because the answer to that question changes everything about how we remember this story. One version is a tragedy of incompetence. The other version is something much darker. Either way, Shedeur Sanders is still standing, and Kevin Stefanski is starting over. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video with every NFL fan you know, because this conversation is just beginning. Until next time, shake the haters off. Peace.